My bills are all due, and the babies need shoes, but I'm busted.
Big city school systems never seem to have enough money, and urban superintendents spend an inordinate amount of time asking for more or responding to charges that they're wasting what they already have. In the fall of '97, David Hornbeck began his 4th year in Philadelphia, a year in which 16 big city systems changed superintendents, including Baltimore, San Diego, and, of course, Cleveland. Seemingly, Hornbeck had accomplished a lot: full-day kindergarten, more technology, higher test scores, and even a hint of peace with the union.
I think there's a recognition that the challenges we face are not as much between each other as they are beyond ourselves.
Maybe there's more of a realization that there are people on the outside saying, hey, look, we know both you guys. You guys have to go forward together because we know you both are capable of doing it.
School board president Floyd Alston had his doubts.
David Hornbeck and the teachers union would have a very difficult time to change or improve their relationship. I think it's just gone that far.
Too much bad blood?
Yeah, right, over too long a period of time.
Alston was right. The apparent harmony was superficial. Neither man had changed his fundamental position.
I haven't changed my opinion about the success of children achieving. I don't think it's reaching out into the classroom. I don't think that the real impact is felt by the teachers. And until I see a change, I'm going to continue to say that it is failed, that it hasn't been successful.
You said the PFT was standing in the schoolhouse door. You still feel that way?
They have been standing in the schoolhouse door. Sure.
The mayor has said very clearly that as long as he is mayor, that David Hornbeck is going to be there. I understand that. And my answer is, when you say to move the school system forward, I think it should be different, with the reality that David Hornbeck is going to be here. I understand that.
Kirsch also understood a greater danger that threatened the entire school system, including his union. The schools seemed certain to run out of money, if not this year, then the next. On this one issue, the union was on Hornbeck's side.
We can argue later about how you spend the dollars, but together we've got to go get those dollars.
Without a major change in Harrisburg, one of two things is going to happen next year. Either we are going to decimate the school system, and by that I mean wiping out all of kindergarten and books and computers and everything of any pretense related to reform, or we won't be able to make the year, and the school district will just shut down.
If we don't get adequate funding, there is no chance, in my judgment, no matter how good David's ideas and concepts and changes and reforms are, there is no hope.
Up to now, most of David Hornbeck's battles had been with the teachers' union. He was about to take on the state legislature and the governor over money.
I went to him late one night and said, Mayor, if we continue down the same budget strategy that this system's been on for a long time, this deal's going to be over in June, 6 months later. And you just need to know that. It was that evening, 11:30 at night, at his house, when he said, all right, we're not going to cut, and we're going to sue the state. And they did. On February 24th, 1997, they filed a lawsuit, essentially telling the state to give us money or we'll shut the schools. Pennsylvania's Governor Tom Ridge was not pleased.
I mean, it was the only superintendent in my tenure as 5 years as governor, out of 501 superintendents who was willing to put together a budget based on what he thought he should have rather than what the legislature was going to send him and what local government was going to send him as well. And so to get exactly what he wanted when he wanted it, he threatened to close the schools.
Then, in a speech, Hornbeck implied that the state's behavior was racist.
Because everybody, every single body is God's somebody, except too often children in Philadelphia.
He made a speech to the National Council of Churches.
Yeah, just insane.
It is a speech that, in my judgment, needed to be made.
That is the David Hornbeck messianic, if you don't believe in me, stuff that's crap.
If you disagreed with him about money, he equated that to some sense of racism.
We have not stood silently by. We have not simply taken it. We have actively filed lawsuits. We have spoken the truth.
It made him angry. It made him more than angry. I think it got him extremely disturbed, and I think as a result, that's why you saw that, that legislation that passed, that the governor and the legislature got to a point where they just didn't like what the superintendent was doing.
Dwight Evans and most other state legislators approved a new law to allow the state to take over Philadelphia schools and fire David Hornbeck.
It was a direct threat, and when someone is threatened, they're going to react, and that's exactly what the governor has done, and that's why the takeover legislation came about. When you look at that legislation, it's clearly, you're not going to tell us what to do. If you go and threaten us, we'll take you out.
Typically, David Hornbeck did not back away.
The alternative was to say, okay, we give up. The kids in Philadelphia are not going to be able to achieve. We need to keep these poor kids, these black kids, these Latino kids, these disabled kids under the staircase. And we really apologize for our temerity to think that every single one of these kids could be taken out from under the staircase.
To Ted Kirsch, Hornbeck was continuing a pattern of alienating people.
We were first. We were first to be alienated. It's the city council, it's the state legislature, there are community groups, there are school communities, and I think it's unfortunate. The governor more important than anyone else, because when you have a state surplus for money, a friendly governor could certainly help this school system.
And I do regret the confrontation. I regret that the governor took it the way he did. I regret that Harrisburg hasn't yet ceased its mistreatment of Philadelphia children.